Success. The work of Don Buchla and Bob Moog become the West and East Coast styles. The 303 becomes a genre. 808 kicks become a wonderful caricature of themselves in deep trap bass. The success of these creations means they must become the answers to questions, the actuality to possibility. Thus, creativity brings its own ending. Only through continuous work can we move backwards in time, from answer to question, from actual to possible. Creativity is the recovery of open space in a built world. I'm out here in the country. It's nice, it's quiet, there's nature everywhere, but I always feel like there's this idea that nature is closer here, but it's not. Like, it's everywhere, like just because we have buildings, doesn't mean that it's not there. The natural world and the interaction between the natural world and the built world, the human world, is definitely something that is part of my process. I started New Systems because I figured out how to make the harmonic shift oscillator. I was just sort of thinking about synthesis and thinking about the math of it and working through things. I was just programming, like I was trying to make some random thing on the computer for fun or something like that. But then I realized, I have something different. Like, I can make this, I can make it an analog, and there's nothing like this out there. So I guess I have to do this now. What really excites me is often those earlier moments where there's these designers that they weren't really sure what they were doing. They weren't sure what the result was going to be. And I feel like, I really want to work towards that point, and I think, for better or worse, my product designs succeed in me not really knowing what they're going to do before they actually get made. I'm as surprised as a lot of my customers are by what the thing does, For me, it always starts with mathematics and the mathematics of sound. And what within that is something that we haven't really covered in terms of music or instruments. So that's the most exciting part for me, is that that moment of discovery where I'm working through math and some connection comes out that maybe I didn't even know was there. Most of the time is spent in idea and in simulation, figuring out, what exactly it is that I want to do and how I can accomplish that with electronics. How does the attack go? What kind of distortion are we seeing? Where are we seeing self-oscillation start? Whatever questions, I have, I'm asking them with simulation first. Then comes the very long process of laying things out. The rest is sort of just going through the motions of putting it all on a board and getting it made. All right, so this box is the original HSO. So this is the first HSO prototype that I got properly working. Yeah, that process involves some voodoo soldering, putting resistors in weird places. that's always fun to remake things like that, to, you know, because this is what you have to do in the final step. So this is the final design, except obviously I got those to be actual resistors on a board. And yeah, so, you know, I definitely, I feel like I keep this, like, this is like the equivalent of my first dollars, right? I tend to use all kinds of stuff just for whatever purpose it ends up being useful for. I've got a bunch of synths, obviously, but I love the DX7. This is the Ensoniq VFX. It's also great. The modular, obviously, you know, which at this point mostly is my own modules. And I think there's a couple reasons for that. You know, that really helps push the design to have only my own modules here, so I can feel what it feels like they need. Yamaha CS5 is fantastic. This was the first synth I got, actually. And it's really inspirational because it just has so little on it. Like, there's like just enough to be interesting and nothing more. And yeah, so that's ended up going into my design philosophy in some ways, you know, where it's just like, what I really want to be making is things that, you know, it's really easy and intuitive to use, you know, and I make complicated things, but I try to make complicated things with simple controls. I think most gear that I have really inspires me to make new gear. So I have a degree in cultural studies, you know, and I study, you know, mathematics, philosophy, and the language arts. You know, I experience language very rhythmically, and I think that goes for logic as well. Like logic has a rhythm to it. So when I'm designing or composing as well, I feel like I'm always sort of scratching for these like logical forms, and those come out and do a thing, you know, whatever that thing is. I guess I've always seen in music that there's something there that is profound and important. At some point, I kind of got it into my head that I had to choose between making music and these other passions of mine. And so I sort of put it on the back burner for many years. And so really like coming back to it and doing it more, integrating it into more of my life, was really just undoing that idea that I had to sort of like set it aside, you know. I wouldn't want to trade any of this for more time. More time doing what? Like, what else would I do, right? This is the stuff that I'm excited about.